Oh yeah, and we found an AN-94, which I'm pretty sure we found one before.
It's hard for me to keep track of all the different firearms we found.
Hey, it actually does the 2-shot burst thing. Hell yeah!
Alright.
I'm hotkeying this.
Alright.
We'll replace the P90 with the AN-94 for a little bit.
You spent all that time looking for a P90? And then you replace it on
Well, I
your
don't have any ammo for it.
Oh.
That's why I'm replacing it.
I see.
If I had ammo for it, I would continue using it, but also hyperburst.
2 to the chest, 2 to the head.
You know what the rear sight looks like to me? It looks like one of the pieces from the 1980s game Crossfire.
Yeah.
It looks like the thing, like there's the marble in the center of it, and it just looks like it's sitting out there, and you're just shooting it with the little thing. Crossfire! You get caught up in that. Why did that song have to go so fucking hard?
It was, and the commercial was great too.
Why did that commercial have to go so hard? It didn't. I know we're supposed to be talking about the AN-94, but the game Crossfire. The only board game I ever actually want to play.
Did you ever play it?
I did. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's super fun. This the only board. Whenever people are like, "Come over, we're gonna play board games," I'm like, I'm not interested. I don't want to play board games. Why can't we just talk about stuff? I want to talk about things. I don't want to play board games. But if you're like, "Hey, I got Crossfire," I'm like, I'm gonna be over in 5 fucking minutes.
Buddy Chicken, in case you weren't aware, Crossfire was a game where you fired marbles at a bigger marble, which is what we did before we had you.
It was super fun. It was really cool. It was such a cool board game. Like people talk about like,
Is it really a board game though?
Yeah, I would classify it as a board game.
Yeah.
It's a tabletop board game.
It's in a box, I guess.
Well, if that's not a board game, then is Mousetrap a board game?
Yeah, because there's an actual board involved.
Well, there's a board involved with Crossfire too.
It's not really a board. It's like a plastic arena.
I'm gonna classify it as a board game for want of a better thing to classify it as. I'm sure there is a better classification for it.
Tabletop RPG. I'm playing from the point of view of the marble shooter.
You're playing from the point of view of an aerial defense gun, and the little things in the middle are UFOs that you're shooting at. Anyway, it was a super cool game. It was a lot of fun. If you tell me that you want me to come over and play Crossfire, that sounds great. I don't want to play Settlers of Catan, though.
Okay.
They should bring that game back.
That probably never left.
I don't know, there's a lot of board games that stopped existing as soon as basically the Super Nintendo was a thing.
Crossfire!
Damn, it was invented in 1971! There was a 2010 re-release!
Exactly, these things still exist, but because you're not a kid anymore, you don't know about it.
Oh my god, it's $123 on Amazon! Okay, yeah, that's like a
Is it because it's out of print?
I'm pretty sure. What do you mean it's got a 5.4 out of 10 on Board Game Geek? Fuck you, Board Game Geek, you don't know shit!
It's fun for an evening, but beyond that...
No, I'm going all in on this. Crossfire is the best board game ever made. It's better than Fallout 3. It's better than this game.
Fallout 3.5?
It's better. It's the best game ever. Maybe it's not a fucking perfect 10 out of 10 for board games, but it's better than Monopoly.
I don't think there are many board game aficionados who consider Monopoly to be high art these days.
It's better than Mousetrap. Nobody actually plays Mousetrap. You just set up the thing and then it doesn't work. You set up the Rube Goldberg machine that's made out of injection molded plastic that nobody ever bothered to file the flashing off of the side of it, and then it doesn't actually function.
Yeah.
And also you're like, where'd the marble go? There's supposed to be the marble for the wobbly staircase. Where did it go? I don't know.
I had a similar game. I don't remember what it was called, but instead of trying to catch a mouse with a mousetrap, you're trying to crush Play-Doh grapes with some machinery.
Oh, I remember that game.
It was kind of fun.
Oh, what game was that?
Grape Crusher.
Honestly, you might be right. I don't know.
I don't know the name. Oh, tell me about Pogs, Grandpa.
Pogs were these things that originally came from Hawaii, and they came on the top of milk bottles. They were little caps that came on there. And then for some reason, people started collecting them, and then what they would do is put them in a stack, and you would hit them with a big, heavy chunk of metal that was called a slammer. And the Pogs that landed the correct side up, when you would determine that before the play would begin, the Pogs that landed correct side up were yours, and then the other person would keep... nobody actually fucking played Pog, you just kept them.
If you were playing an actual legitimate game of Pogs, there was a good chance you would lose your favorite Pogs. There were stakes involved!
There were. Nobody ever played it. You remember Floam?
Yeah?
Yeah, I remember Floam.
Remember Nickelodeon Slime?
Dude, it was Gak. It was called
Gak, yeah.
Yeah, it was Gak. That stuff was disgusting. It had such a bad smell to it. The thing that really frustrates me about Play-Doh, Honestly, what you're supposed to do with Play-Doh is you play with it, you like mix all the Play-Doh together and it makes a disgusting brown mess, and then you throw it away.
Yeah.
That's what you're supposed to do with Play-Doh, is you're supposed to throw it away. You're not supposed to keep it.
Yeah.
Do you know how much Play-Doh costs? Right now, a thing of Play-Doh is like 65 cents.
It's pretty cheap.
It's cheap as hell, and I don't know why my parents just didn't buy more Play-Doh.
It's radioactive runoff. Why wouldn't it be cheap? Speaking of toys that smell bad, we had creepy crawler ovens.
Oh my god, I remember the creepy crawler ovens. Those things are dangerous. I can't believe they let kids play with those.
But it is nice that now I know what burning plastic smells like, so I can recognize if something is wrong in my adult life.
Here, little Zach, I know you're bored and you want to play. Have fun with this plastic foundry in the basement. Why would you let me play with this?
Here you go, 10-year-old child. Here is an oven, and you're supposed to use this flimsy plastic fork to pull out a hot metal plate.
Right? It's just, I mean, granted, the plate's made out of pot steel. It's just the cheapest metal. But you're just making rubber molds in your basement. That was kind of like, did you ever see, you didn't have sisters. The Mrs. Fields Baking Factory.
No.
It's the exact same thing as a creepy crawly oven, only you make food in it.
Yeah?
So, in addition to being a horribly dangerous toy with metal molds, you can also potentially give yourself food poisoning.
Well, don't forget, we also had edible creepy crawlers.
Oh, well, yeah, because like I said, it's the exact same thing as the Mrs. Fields Baking Factory.
Yep.
Or was it the Mrs. Fields Cookie Factory? I can't remember.
You'll have to tell me. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't remember. It's been fucking 30 years since I've seen one.
Hey, remember spirographs?
Oh, man, spirographs. Hey, even boomers will remember spirographs.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many people do you think have a spirograph tattoo?
One. Wait, when you say a spirograph tattoo...
Like, they made a thing on spirograph and then brought it to the tattoo artist and they said, tattoo this on me.
Okay, probably more than one. I thought you were asking how many people went to a tattoo artist holding a spirograph cog and said, tattoo this!
Oh, yeah. Well, honestly, that I'm willing to say is like, I'm going to say less than 10. But people that have like a spirograph pattern tattooed on them, I'm going to go with 2,000 with a margin of error of 500.
And let's go with a number that we'll never be able to prove.
Yeah, we won't be able to prove it. You know what one of my favorite Christmas presents that I ever got as a child was? The K'NEX roller coaster.
Oh, yeah.
I got the K'NEX roller coaster, and it was the old one, so it was massive. And then my fingers were like all blistered by the end of the day because I put it together. Because it's just like snapping all these
snapping
pieces
it all
together.
day for hours.
Dude, that roller coaster worked like maybe 4 times. It was cool. I thought it was really neat, but yeah, it worked like probably 4 times.
Yeah, $80 present. You put it together for one day.
Dude, no, the K'NEX roller coaster was like $300.
Oh.
And that's like in 90s money. That thing was expensive.
Yeah.
Man, we got off on a fucking tear there about weird toys. Anyway, I got an AN-94 now.
Yeah.
The Russian military did adopt this gun, but the way the Russian military adopts guns is very different from how the U.S. military adopts guns.
Uh-huh.
The U.S. military goes, we need a new rifle. So they do this long, drawn-out process where they're like, we need a new rifle, and it needs to meet this requirement, this requirement, this requirement, this requirement, this requirement. Who's willing to make one? We're just doing an open proposal to all companies. Make us this rifle.
Give us a sample.
Yeah, it literally is, give us a sample of this gun. We're not going to pay you for it. And then we'll go to the phase 1 trials after the RFP. Once we finally select the gun, then we'll pay you for it. So it's resulted in several times where the U.S. military has been like, we want this thing. And then a bunch of people set up tooling and make prototypes of this gun. And then the military goes, never mind, we don't actually want it. So now they made like millions of dollars worth of equipment for a trial.
And they go out of business.
That the military didn't adopt. They don't go out of business, it's just the military doesn't adopt it. Anyway, the way Russians adopt guns is someone will make like a prototype and the Russians will go, that's great, we're adopting it. And then they make a bunch of them and they field them to the soldiers and the soldiers use them for a bit and then say, hey, I don't like this and this and this. So then they go back and then they update it and then now there's another version of the gun that's been adopted. So basically they'll adopt a gun, but then they're still testing it while it's being adopted.
Well, it's not as if the U.S. military doesn't iterate.
The U.S. military gets basically almost all of the iterations out before they ever field the gun on a wide scale. And yes, they do updates to it, which is what the A1 means.
Yeah.
Is like the update to that gun. So you have the M16 and then the A1, the A2, the A3,
And the A4, exactly.
So they do iterate, and the M16 is kind of an outlier because usually most guns that are adopted by the US military don't make it past like the A2 variant. The M16 is an exception because it's an exceptionally good gun.
I guess it did have a long staying power.
Yeah, it did. Like the M1 Garand has like maybe one iteration to it. The M14 has maybe one iteration to it. And then the M16's got 4. And then you also have the M4 carbine, which has I think 2 iterations to it.
Yeah, M4 and the M4A1.
But yeah, what I'm saying is the Russian military doesn't bother getting all of the trial stuff out of the way. They just adopt it as is and say, we've adopted it. That doesn't mean that it's widely used. It just means that it's in the military.
Okay. And then you have a bunch of different variants.
Yeah, you end up with a bunch of different variants, and it kind of results in a logistical nightmare.
Yeah.
Anyway, the AN-94 was briefly adopted by the Russian military, and I say briefly because, like, they used it, and then they didn't really bother implementing any of the iterations because it's too fucking expensive. There's too many inner working parts to this thing. It requires too much machine time. It's way too expensive, and it's a hell of a lot easier just to keep giving people AK-74s.
I see.
It's a really interesting rifle. It's really cool. I do kind of wish it had caught on, but like looking at one internally, I can understand why they did not issue it to soldiers.
Yeah, it's a fun, fascinating thing, but maybe not good for widespread use.
It's a really cool gun. The magazine is like canted to the side of the. Yeah, I put it in that. Okay. I goofed there. That was my bad. The magazine is canted off to the side, and that's basically, when I say canted, I mean like if you look at the gun straight on from the front or the back, you'll notice the magazine sticks out of it at a weird angle. If you don't know anything about guns and I showed you an image of this for just like a second, you'd be like, oh, it's an AK. But like the pistol grip is so far backwards that it's almost not on the receiver anymore, which is really funny to me. It is a little disappointing that it didn't see more use or see more modification just because of how innovative this thing is to small arms design.
Well, it's quirky, but would you say it's innovative?
Yes, I would definitely say it's innovative.
You say that, but no one else has tried to mimic it?
Because of how complicated it is.
Yeah.
Something can be incredibly innovative, but still complicated and unwieldy and weird.
Okay.
Like, the Wankel engine is incredibly innovative, but it's weird.
The Wankel engine?
Yeah, rotary engine. The spinning Dorito. And there's not really many cars that use it. I think Mazda is actually bringing that engine back in one of their newer cars.
Oh
which
no,
is cool.
the Wankel hit my ankle!
So you see it's got those 2 weird little ears on the top of the front sight? I think those 2 ears are for tritium inserts. Or like radium paint. And then you put a thing on the back of it, because the Russians really like putting night sights on their guns. Because they don't want to issue soldiers optics.
Okay.
I like firearms that have like interesting quirks about it. It's like, I like the Desert Eagle. It's a semi-automatic gun, a short stroke gas piston operated pistol that fires a revolver cartridge. That's why I like the Desert Eagle. That's weird.
Okay. Didn't you say you thought the Desert Eagle was overrated?
I do think it's overrated. I still like it.
All right.
And also I think 50 Action Express is overrated. I think that 50 cal in anything other than 50 BMG is a fucking meme cartridge.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did it as a joke, as a riff.
What is this?
New casino, maybe? We might have to come back later and check it out.
Yeah, well, here, we'll discover it and then we'll come back so that we have it logged.
Sure. Kill the geckos outside, do a public service.
Oh, I got animal friends, so they should be okay.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, how's it going, man? What is this place? You wanna...
I'm about to go in there. They'll take all your caps.
Oh.
That's why I ain't got no caps.
Oh, jeez. All right.
Not because I'm a gecko. It's because they robbed me.
Danger. Enter?
And then we establish a fast travel point, and we bounce. All right, cool.
We didn't establish one.
Whatever.
Death. All right, well. Fuck this thing! Where's Crossfire?
We were playing it, remember?
Oh, that's right, we were playing it. I forgot already.
Short-term memory loss?
Oh, that's right, because the icicle pierced the frontal lobe of my brain!
No, that's a Skyrim recurring joke.
Whoops, sorry.
Yeah.
I forgot, the icicle pierced the frontal lobe of my brain, so I forgot what game we were in.
Maybe it wasn't the icicle that gave you short-term memory loss. Maybe it was the bullet.
It was the multiple... Yes, it was the bullet.